after periodic properties. Okay, and after that, write the next topic, which is not the next topic, rather the next chapter. What is the next chapter? What is the next chapter? Chemical. Arey, nobody speaks here.
Sir, chemical bonding.
Yes, chemical bonding. Chemical bonding and molecular structure. I guess that is the complete name of the chapter, but chemical bonding is what we will start with. Okay, we will learn everything. What is chemical bond? Right? What is a chemical bond? No one. Chemical bond, it is a force of attraction. Chemical bond, CBS chemical bond is a force of attraction. It's a force of attraction. How can we say that it is a force of attraction? Let us say we have a molecule such as Na and Cl, NaCl. Okay, we have a molecule which is NaCl. Now, if I try holding this sodium and I try pulling this, then what I will see that chlorine is just coming behind it with the sodium atoms, right? With the sodium atoms. That means there is some kind of force of attraction between sodium and chloride, which is keeping the chloride in contact with sodium, even if you're just pulling the sodium atom. Now, chemical bonding is a force of attraction. Now, this is a simple thing that you should remember always in your head. If somebody asks like this, what is a chemical bond? You will write it is a force of attraction. Now, then you can also explain it further. Now, how is chemical bond formed? A chemical bond, please write with me. Is formed between two combining atoms to gain stability. To gain stability, how do they gain stability? By achieving the nearest noble gas configuration. Nearest noble gas configuration. Now, this is one of the definitions for chemical bond. Also, write one more definition. It is also similar type of definition, but it has excluded this noble gas configuration because we will see that sometimes this definition is not very much valid, and there's a chemical bond formed even if those two atoms, they are not achieving the nearest noble gas configuration. Right? According to modern concept. Chemical bond is formed between two combining atoms to gain stability by release of energy. By release of energy. Okay, so for example, we have A and we have B. They may be individually, they are both stable, but when they combine when they form AB, it is more stable. It is more stable. So whatever we are talking about, it is relatively, okay, relatively more stable. We will not be using very much data here, very much numbers here, that it is 10 times stable or 2 times stable, or this is 3.10 kilojoule more stable than the atoms. We will just talk in the qualitative form that it is more stable than the individual A atom and the individual B atoms. Okay. So please write this much. Tell me if you're done, and also tell me if you have any doubt. You should not have any doubt. What you should remember is that chemical bond is a force of attraction between two atoms. Okay, it is a force of attraction between two atoms. Please raise your hand if you're done.
Sir, could you show the starting again?
Yes, sure. We started from here.
Oh, okay.
For example, if you are single, and if you're single, that is also fine. But when people get married, they get more stable, right? क्या बोलते हैं? Set हो जाना, stable हो गया, family stable. So it's the same thing that happens in atoms. They're individually also stable, but when they form bonds, they are more stable. Okay, so I think I can. Okay, only Hamza is. Sorry. Hiba, Khalid, and Salman are writing. Okay, everyone is done. All right, types of chemical bond. First, we have ionic bond. Second is covalent bond. Third is coordinate covalent bond. Coordinate covalent bond. So we know that ionic bond, when it is formed, when is ionic bond formed? When we have by the complete transfer of electrons, right, between two combining atoms. So first we'll write the ionic bond. It is also known as electrovalent bond. Just wait a second, let me just a few things here. Yeah, so we have ionic bond. It is also known as electrovalent bond. What is the definition? This is the bond which is formed. The bond formed by transfer of electron between two combining atoms. Okay, between two combining atoms. For example, you have sodium and you have chlorine. If you just write the shells here, it will be 2, 8 and 1, and chlorine will be 2, 8 and 7. Now, if you look at the old definition, and we understand that, so chlorine is only one electron deficient from gaining the noble gas configuration, and sodium has one electron extra to gain the noble gas configuration, right? So what will happen? You will make from sodium, we will lose an electron. Sodium will lose an electron like this. Let me just make an arrow here. And what chlorine will be doing is it will be accepting one electron. So here we have minus of one electron. We have removed one electron, that is, it is sodium positive, and chlorine we have added one electron, right? We have added one electron. Now this is chlorine negative, and this is positively charged, this is negatively charged. When they will combine, obviously positive and negatively charged, they will come together, and as soon as they come together, the attraction will increase, and as the attraction increases, what happens? As the attraction increases, what happens? Stability is gained, energy is released, right? Attraction, because it is positively charged and it is negatively charged. I mean, when there is attraction, energy is released. energy is released. Okay. Hamza, you tell me, from sodium atom, we are removing one electron, right?
Yes, sir.
So we would have to supply some kind of energy, right, to remove that electron, because we are removing from the attraction of the nucleus, right? So that will be delta H I, right? Ionization enthalpy.
Yes, sir.
And we are inserting one more electron to the chlorine. This will be delta H Eg,
EGS.
electron gain. Yeah, electron gain enthalpy. Yes, Khalid, you remember?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Electron gain enthalpy. Now tell me, this ionization enthalpy is generally positive or negative? Ionization enthalpy is? It is exothermic or endothermic?
Negative.
It is positive. Okay, it is positive. It is endo. Endo means you have to give energy. Now, electron gain enthalpy is negative, and it is generally exo, and it is also, it is endo only for the noble gases. Since chlorine is not a noble gas, it is exo. Now, please write this. I will ask you a few questions now. Are you done?
No, sir. Just
Yes,
on the last
sir.
part.
Last part. Okay, please complete this. What about Hiba? Done?
Done, sir.
Okay, Hamza is done. What
Done,
about
sir.
Hiba and
Done.
Done. Salman? Is Salman not here?
Sir, done.
Done. Okay. Now, please, you have to now start thinking in terms of energy. Okay, in terms of energy. Now just imagine from the perspective of energy conservation. If you want something to happen, do you want to give energy? Yes or no? If you want something to happen, then is it a favorable thing? Would you like to spend energy? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. We should.
You would like to spend energy, or what would be much more favorable? That you get something without even spending energy. Which is more favorable? Tell me.
Sir, to get something without doing anything.
Without, in terms of energy, it doesn't mean energy as a physical sense. Energy in the sense of thermodynamic energy, chemical energy, and mechanical energy, those type of energy. Okay, those quantifiable energies. So obviously that also, we don't want to spend those kind of energy, right? If we would have getting complete air conditioned rooms without spending any electrical energy, that would be great, right? So wherever what you will do, you will always try to conserve the energy, right? You will always try to preserve the energy. That means, for example, if I want to form an ionic bond, this ionization enthalpy should be low, right? Because it is endothermic, it is wanting, give me energy, then only I will remove one electron from the outermost shell. So you will find any atom which has the least ionization enthalpy. The ionization enthalpy should be less. And here we have chlorine, it is giving me some energy, right? It is negative, it is releasing energy, electron gain enthalpy. So the condition for ionic bond is that one atom should have low ionization enthalpy, and one atom should have high value of, or high magnitude of, electron gain enthalpy, right? So that will be the best condition for the formation of ionic bond. That is the next point. So please write condition for ionic bond formation. Okay, ionic bond formation. The first point is that one atom should have low ionization enthalpy. Second condition is that one atom should have high value of, okay, please remember high value because we are just concerned about the value, the number. We are not concerned about the sign because we know it is negative, and that is why we wanted high, because if it is negative, it is giving me energy, it is exothermic. So we want that value of the energy release should be very high. One atom should have high value of electron gain enthalpy. Okay, it should have high value of electron gain enthalpy. Now, whenever these two will combine, for example, let us suppose, this is just an example. Let's suppose you have to give 10 units of, you have to give plus 10 units. See, I'm writing plus 10, no? Plus 10 units of ionization enthalpy. This is the ionization enthalpy, the change in ionization enthalpy. And for, please don't write this, please just listen, electron gain enthalpy. And let's suppose when we added the electron, I got how much energy? I got, let us suppose, minus 20. Okay, minus 20. Now the net is what? Net result is that minus 10 is the enthalpy change, right? So I am getting 10 units of energy when these two things are combining. So in universe, what is happening? In universe also wants, the nature also wants to have its state in the lowest energy possible. That is why it forms ionic bond, because one of the elements have low ionization enthalpy and high value of electron gain enthalpy. You understood these 2 points? The next point is that the minus 10 that you saw here, now, the minus 10 that you saw here, that was the net, that is known as lattice energy. Okay, that is known as lattice energy. What is lattice energy? Lattice energy is released when two atoms form ionic bond. Okay, that means the lattice energy, that is the net energy, and it should be high. Lattice energy is the net energy. Lattice energy should be high. Okay, so these 3 points are what? These 3 points are very much quantitative point. So you will not go everywhere now with ionization enthalpies of each of the every atoms, electron gain enthalpy of each of the every atoms, and then you will be comparing. Now let us see which will be making ionic bond, which will be making covalent bond. So we need to have some kind of qualitative idea when the ionic bond will be forming, Now that qualitative idea is that if the electronegativity difference is high between two combining atoms, then ionic bond is formed. Okay, then ionic bond is formed. Now, how will you know the electronegativity? Will you be having those electronegativity values? No. What you have is the periodic table, and what you have is the electronegativity trend. Okay, you have the electronegativity trend and the periodic table. That is something that should be present in your mind. You should have a relative idea where these elements are present and where are these elements present. And then you can also know the trend of electronegativity. And now we will show you. Please let me know if you are done. Why NaCl? And this NaCl also fits in this criteria, that it has the electronegativity difference between sodium and chlorine is very much high. That is why it is a ionic molecule. Let me know if you're done.
Sir, done.
Okay, what about others? Hamza, Hiba, Salman?
Done, sir.
Done? Hiba?
Done, sir.
Done? Okay. You guys remember this periodic table? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So the sodium is somewhere here. Sodium is somewhere here, right? lithium, then below there is sodium. And here we have fluorine, and below that we have chlorine. Chlorine is somewhere here. And then look at the electronegativity. Here we have, see, the Z effective is also increasing. So whatever the trend is here, Z effective is increasing here. Ionization enthalpies will also increase there. Electron gain enthalpy will also increase in this manner. Similarly, the electronegativity, that X will also increase in this manner. Okay, it follows the same trend as with Z effective. Now, can you see that sodium is here and chlorine is here? So obviously they will have very high difference in electronegativity. Yes or no? Because it is starting from here and it is ending here. So these are in the extreme ends of the periodic table in terms of electronegativity, and hence the difference is very high. Can you view that? You got an idea, or you didn't get an idea why the electronegativity difference is high? Yes, Iba.
Yes, sir,
Khalid.
understood.
What about others? Yes, Khalid.
Yes, sir.
You understood how to determine whether some molecule will be ionic or whether it will be covalent. Now you just have to tell me whether it will be ionic or not, because no or yes, you understood or not understood?
No, sir, I got disconnected in between.
Oh, you got disconnected in between. So we were seeing that why NaCl is ionic. Okay, so we saw that if delta En, that is the difference in electronegativity, is higher, then we have a ionic compound. Now, how to check the electronegativity? We will look at the periodic table, and the periodic table we saw that the trend is the electronegativity increases from left to right. So electronegativity will be very low for sodium, it will be very high for chlorine, because sodium is on the left and chlorine is on the right, and left to right the electronegativity increases. So these are on the extremes. That is why NaCl is obviously NaCl is an ionic molecule. It is an ionic compound. Okay, let's go back to this today's. Yeah. So everyone is done. Now let us write about the concept of lattice energy. You have seen lattice energy, right? Concept of lattice energy. So please write with me. The amount of energy released by the formation of one mole of solid from gaseous ions is called lattice energy. It is called from gaseous ions is called lattice energy. Now, see, we cannot determine, right, for gaseous ions how much is the energy, then lattice energy how much the energy is formed. So what we do to measure lattice energy, this is very simple concept, but it is very important if you want to have some kind of experimental idea how things happen. Okay, how things happen. Now, this is the ground state. This is the ground. Okay, this is the ground. This is, let us say, first floor. So let us say first floor. Now, I want to calculate how much energy will be required. How much energy will be required if I want to jump? Sorry, if I want to go from the ground to the first floor. Okay, to go from ground to the first floor. This is something. Potential energy here will be greater than 0. Potential energy is equal to how much? The potential energy is equal to 0 here. Now, rather than going from ground to first floor, what I can do, if I throw something that is of my same weight and I measure the momentum as it strikes the ground. From momentum, I can also predict the kinetic energy, right? Now, this kinetic energy will be that kinetic energy, which was essentially the potential energy. Now, that person or that mass or that object was having some kind of potential energy, and that got translated into kinetic energy when it was falling down. Yes or no? You got this or no? ऊपर से चला गया. You have not started work power energy physics.
We started it.
Just started.
They have just started. Okay, so you get this idea, na? That potential energy, whatever the potential energy was there, it will get translated to kinetic energy when it is going down. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. We got that.
Also, you know the relationship between kinetic energy and momentum. Yes or no? Please tell me yes or no. Hamza, do you know the relationship between kinetic energy and momentum? Hamza, yes or no? I'm just asking a yes or no
Yes,
question.
sir.
You know it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you did this in physics or chemistry? Yes, Hamza, you did this in physics or chemistry?
Sir, I guess physics.
I guess physics. Okay. What about Hiba? You know this relationship between kinetic energy and momentum?
Yes, sir.
What is it? Can you say it?
Sir, half mv square.
Kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. That everyone know. That is the formula for kinetic energy. But I'm asking relationship. Okay. Please, in your notebook, open de Broglie hypothesis. Everyone, Hamza, Hiba, Khalid, Salman, all of you open de Broglie hypothesis. Is there anyone? Is there anywhere? Momentum and kinetic energy?
Sir, P is equals to root 2K, 2 kinetic energy.
Root 2m kinetic energy. Root under 2m kinetic energy. You have this, right, Hamza, in your chemistry notebook only?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So I guess everyone would be having this. Okay. So from kinetic energy, sorry, from momentum, I can calculate the kinetic energy, and that will be the potential energy when it was in the first floor. Now, similar type of thing has happened, because can you think how can you measure the energy if you are going from ground floor to the first floor? Can you measure the energy? Can you think of any way in which you can measure the energy that is required to go from ground state to the first floor? No, na? So similarly here also, we use whatever method is there to calculate some energies. You wanted to get the energy required to go from ground to first floor, but what did you do? You calculated the energy released if you throw something from first floor to ground floor. Now here we want to calculate the amount of energy released. That is not possible. So what do? We break the solid. Okay, we break the solid. So the amount, it is measured as the amount of energy required to break 1 mole of solid into gaseous ions. Into gaseous ions. The next point represents the attractive force between two opposite charged ions. Two oppositely charged ions. Please write this if you're done. Okay, Hiba is done. So if it is measured as the amount of energy required, okay, so again, this lattice energy will also be endothermic. Whatever energy we are going to calculate, that will be, we will be giving that energy to a particular solid, then we will be breaking that solid into gaseous ions. So we'll be giving energy. The next we will look at the factors affecting the lattice energy, okay? Please write this. Okay, only two are done. Hamza, Hiba. What about Khalid, Salman?
Done, sir.
Done. Okay. Now write factors affecting lattice energy. First factor is C. Let's suppose we have A2 positive and we have A2 positive and B2 negatives. Now Hamza, tell me, and let us compare this to A positive and B positive and B negative. There is no difference. There is just a difference of charges here. Okay, these are two positive charges here, two negative charges here, one positive charge and one negative charge. Where will be the force of attraction higher in one or two? Where will be the force of attraction higher in one or two? Hamza?
Set 2.
How? Can you explain it? Yes, Hamza?
Like say it will be closer to the nucleus, so
No, these are ions. These are ions. These are not electrons. These are ions. So tell me, if you have two positive charges somewhere, okay, there are two positive charges and there are two negative charges. Here we have one positive charge and here we have one negative charge. Okay, now you have to see these things are point charges. Okay?
It is first one, yes.
First one, yeah. So we can say that, see, lattice energy is directly proportional to attractive force, correct? And attractive force, we have seen that it is directly proportional to the magnitude of charge, right? So it lattice energy, sorry, factors affecting lattice energy versus magnitude of charge. Magnitude of charge. You see, we saw that lattice energy is directly proportional to force of attraction. That means if attractive forces will be very high, we will have to put more energy. That is why more force of attraction, more lattice energy. And we saw that force of attraction is directly proportional to magnitude of charge. Magnitude of charge. Second point is size of ion. size of ion. Now, let's suppose we have one positive charge here. Please don't write anything, okay? After size of ion, one positive charge here, and the atom is this big. Now, you all know that positive charge will be in the nucleus, right? Positive charge will be in the nucleus. Now we have same type of charge here, and we have the size of atom is this much. And then you have okay. So these are the sizes of size of negative charges are same. Okay, size of negative charges ions and ionic charges are same. This is minus. Now, this positive charge and this negative charge. This positive charge is very big. Now, if this positive charge is very big, it will be difficult to attract this particular negatively charged ion. Now, here the positively charged is there, the same positive charge is there, but the size is small, and hence it can easily attract the negatively charged. Yes or no? Tell me. If the size is small, that means the distance between the positively charged nucleus and the anion will be less. That is why it can easily attract. Now, here we have the positive charge, but the size of ion here it is very low. Now, you can either imagine it like this. If they will get closer, if these two will get closer, so they can get this much closer, right? Now, what about this one? If these two will get closer, they can get only this much closer. Now you have to tell me. Where will be attraction greater? In case A or B? Tell me, in case of A or B, where will be attraction higher? You guys cannot see this?
Sir, A.
A will be higher, no? Because we have shorter distance. We have shorter distance, right? So maybe you even make this lattice energy directly proportional to force of attraction. FOA is force of attraction. This is force of attraction, and it is inversely proportional to size of ions. Size of ions. Okay. But first, you will answer always with charge. Okay, you will answer always with charge. Then you will look at the size of ions. Let me know if you're done. Only Heba is done.
Sir, none.
What about others? Salman?
Done, sir.
Done. Okay. Compare the lattice energy of following. Number A is magnesium oxide versus NaCl sodium chloride. So the first thing that you would have to know is what ions will be formed, right? What ions will be formed. So first you have to tell me the configuration of Mg. Let me ask you like this directly. Mg will have Mg2 positive and oxygen will have O2 negative. Do I need to explain this or do you know this from 10th standard? Tell me. Hamza, Hiba, Salman.
Maybe revision would be better.
A revision would be better. Okay, fine. So whatever the ionic bond is formed, they will always achieve the noble gas configuration. So tell me what is the atomic number for magnesium? Fast, huh? This would be fast, very much fast. Salman.
Sir, 12.
Yes, Hamza, 12. So if it is 12, I will write the KLMN1 because we just need the we just need to get 8 electrons in the last. Okay, so we'll have 2, 8, and 2. Okay, for oxygen, this will be how much? Oxygen is 8, right? Atomic number is 8 now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this will be 2, 6. Now, magnesium can give 2 electrons to oxygen. Magnesium will also be 2, 8. Oxygen will also be 2, 8, right? So Mg2 plus. Now, if it is given 2 electron, that means it will be Mg2 plus. So it is 2, 8. It is a noble gas, which is what is a noble gas which has atomic number 10? Both of these have achieved the noble gas configuration now with atomic number 10. What is that noble gas?
Sir, neon.
Yes, both of them have got noble gas, which is neon, right? So this is how you predict the charges. So the charge for magnesium is 2 positive, the charge for oxygen is 2 negative. Okay, 2 positive and 2 negative. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. What about sodium? This will be Na positive and chlorine negative. So how will we find the lattice energy? So lattice energy, first of all, let us find for MgO. MgO, lattice energy is proportional to Q1, Q2, right? Magnitude of charge. So both of these are how much? Q1, Q2 is equal to 2 into 2. Magnesium has 2 charge. You don't have to look at the sign here, okay? You just have to look at the magnitude. Please, guys, magnitude of charge. Magnitude means just number. This will give you 4. What about NaCl? The Q1, Q2 will be equal to 1 into 1, right? Because plus 1 and plus 1 and minus 1, this will be equal to 1. So from this, we can easily say that MgO has higher lattice energy than NaCl, right? MgO has higher lattice energy than NaCl. You just have to compare the charges. You know, if charge has 1, then you don't need to look at the size. You will look at the size only when the charges are same, because charge is more dominant factor than size. Please
Sir,
write
we
this.
have
Let
to
me know
like
if you're done.
compare all the compounds with NaCl only.
No,
Was it given in the question?
no, it was given in the question. I gave compare the lattice energy of the following. You got disconnected again?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sir, I'm having net problems.
Okay. Let me know if I can scroll down. Can I scroll down, Khalid?
Yes, sir.
Write another question. Compare the lattice energy of cesium iodide, sodium fluoride, calcium oxide. Okay. So first of all, I will write all the Q1, Q2s. Okay. CSI, sodium fluoride, calcium oxide. Okay. So cesium is with which group? Cesium is in group 1. It will have +1, and this will have -1. Okay. So this will be having cesium will be +1, and we write it like this. Otherwise, you all guys will be getting confused. This will be +1, -1. This will be +1. This will be -1. Calcium will be +2 because it is in group 2. Oxygen will be -2 because it is in group 16. Now Q1, Q2. This is 1. This is 1. And this is 4, right? Because we just have to look at the magnitude. We just have to look at the magnitude. This is 4. Now, from here we can say that calcium oxide has the highest. Now we will compare between. Please don't write anything. Please look here. I hope you guys got how the calcium oxide will have the greatest lattice energy, and that lattice energy will be more than cesium iodide and also sodium fluoride. Yes or no, Hamza, Hiba?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no. Okay. Now, please don't write anything. Please look here. Now we will compare CSI and sodium fluoride, cesium iodide and sodium fluoride by the size. Okay. So if we compare the size of CS and Na, cesium positive will have higher size than sodium positive. Similarly, iodine negative will also have higher size, greater size than chlorine negative, right? Because both of these are down in the group. They are at the bottom of the group. They are at the top of the group. These are at the top. These are at the bottom. That is why sodium and fluoride, they will have smaller size. And we also know that lattice energy is inversely proportional to size of ion, right? Size of ion. Now, if size of ion will decrease, lattice energy will increase. That is why sodium fluoride, which is having small size, they will have higher lattice energy than cesium iodide. Hence, the order will be CaO will be highest. After that will be sodium fluoride. And after that, we will have cesium iodide. Copy this. Let me know if you're done. Please raise your hand if you're done.
Sir, could you explain the CS and NA thing again? I got confused.
Okay. See, the charges are same, right? Here. Magnitude of charge is same. Yes or no, Khalid? Please keep your mic on if you have asked. Yes, okay. Please keep your mic on. Now, what we have to look, we can look at the size, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is the relationship, right? Lattice energy is inversely proportional to size.
Yes, sir.
So, can you predict whose size is greater? So, sodium's size is greater or cesium's?
I think CM.
Why do you think so? Periodic table. Group 1 elements. This is the group 1 elements, right? So, lithium, sodium,
Yes.
potassium, rubidium, cesium, and francium. Now, as we go down the group, what happens? Size increases, right?
Size of ion. Yes.
Yeah. size increases. That is similarly for we have first class biryani in Australia, right? So fluorine will have still smaller size than iodine. So these are the comparison of size. Okay, this is the comparison of size. Now you understood, Khalid?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So see, I hope now you can appreciate the importance of periodic table and also the importance of the trends that we have learned. Okay, that will be used almost everywhere. So please keep revising periodic properties in your if you get any free time. I know that 11th, 12th standard is very packed, so you won't be getting much free time, but still. Are you guys done? Can I move?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, done.
All right, covalent bond. Covalent bond. Please write with me. You have learned covalent bond, from the lower standard. Please write with me. The bond which is formed by equal sharing of electrons between two combining atoms. It's called covalent bond. Okay. Now again, we will write some conditions. Now see, the conditions here will be what? See, the electronegativity difference is very high, right? If you will have a very rich guy and if you will have a very poor guy, only then the electron transfer can take place, right? Now those people who have similar electronegativity, what will be they doing? They will be sharing those electrons. So conditions for covalent bond, both atoms should be, first is that should be non-metal. Second is that electronegativity difference should be small. Next is covalent bond can be of two types. Okay, so covalent bond are of two types. One of the covalent bond is known as polar covalent bond, or it is simply known as polar bond. The other is known as non-polar covalent bond, or simply as non-polar bond. So what is special about this polar covalent bond? What is special about this non-polar covalent bond or non-polar bond? See, the difference only lies in the atoms which are participating in the bond formation. The atoms which are participating in the bond formation. Now, polar covalent bond is formed when covalent bond is between two different atoms. For example, HCl. Okay, for example, HCl, hydrogen chloride. Now, in hydrogen chloride, what happens? Hydrogen has one electron, right? This will be the bond. This is chlorine here. Now, let us say that ideally the electron cloud should be something like this. Let me wait a second. Okay, this is the electron cloud. And as we can see that it is more shifted towards chlorine. Why it is more shifted towards chlorine? Because if you look at the electronegativity series, chlorine is more electronegative, right? It is more electronegative. If it is more electronegative, it will be pulling the electrons. It will be pulling the electrons towards itself. It will be pulling the electron towards itself, and it will be having some dipole moment. It will be having some dipole moment. Okay, what is dipole moment? Dipole moment is the separation. If you have a positive charge and a negative charge, then this is known as the dipole moment. There will be a dipole. This is one pole that is positive, and this is another pole which is negative, and these two separated by a distance is known as dipole. For now, you just have to know that polar covalent bond is formed between two different atoms, and non-polar covalent bond will be formed. This covalent bond between same atoms. For example, H2, O2, N2. So let us take the example of H2 here. So hydrogen and hydrogen. There are two bonds here. Now, as this is hydrogen and hydrogen, there will be no electronegativity difference, right? Whatever the electronegativity value of hydrogen is for this hydrogen, the same will be for this hydrogen also. There will be no difference. Now that is why there will be equal sharing of electron. Okay, there will be equal sharing of electron. Like this. Okay, there will be electron cloud here. But if you look at the hydrogen and chlorine one, it will be something like this. Chlorine will have higher electron cloud. Okay, hydrogen will have less electron cloud, and that will lead to some dipole moment. We will learn about dipole moment, but as of now, you just remember that polar covalent and non-polar covalent bond. Please write this. Let me know if you're done. No, let me know if you're done.
Done, sir.
Now, right. Next is coordinate bond, coordinate covalent bond. This is the third, right? Coordinate covalent bond. It's also known as dative bond. It's also known as semi-polar bond. These are the different name for same type of bond. So coordinate bond and dative bond, these are most used. Okay. So if dative bond is given, please don't get confused. It is coordinate covalent bond. Right. The special type of covalent bond in which one-sided sharing of electrons takes place between two combining atoms. Between two combining atoms is called coordinate covalent bond. Okay, sometimes this covalent word is emitted and you can directly be seeing coordinate bond. That is also coordinate covalent bond only. Okay, now in this, for example, we have A. Now this A has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let us say it has 7, 8 electrons, or all 8 electrons. But we have then B, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons only. Now what will happen? This A here, you will be like, okay, fine. Let us share these 2 electrons. Okay, let us share these 2 electrons. Now, when it is sharing, it is not completely giving to B. Okay, it is not completely giving to B. What it is doing, it is sharing these. For example, you have one scale. Okay, you have a partner in your offline class. You have a partner. He has not bought a scale. Then what do? You share that scale, right? You share that scale. Now that is the covalent. That is the coordinate covalent bond in which sharing of electron takes place. There is no donation of electron. Please remember that. Even though A is giving, it is not giving to B, it is sharing with B. Okay, B is not involved in any sharing of electron. B is not sharing any electrons. Only A is sharing electrons. Okay, so this type of bonding here, A is sharing electron. Okay, only A is sharing electron. So in each of the bonds, you will require 2 electrons. Okay, in each of the bonds, you will require 2 electrons. Now, in ionic bonding, what happens? The electron is taken. In covalent bond, both combining atom, they share electron. For example, your partner has not bought scale, and you have the scale, but you don't have the pencil. So you will take the pencil of your partner, you will draw something, and your partner will take the scale from you and draw something. So that is sharing in covalent bond. But in coordinate covalent bond, you have the scale, your partner does not have the scale, so you just share this scale. Okay, so please remember these 3 types of bonding. After that, let me know if you're done. Are you guys done? Okay, Hamza is done.
Sir, done.
Okay, everyone done. Now next, right? Lewis dot structure. Okay, so first we will write Lewis dot structure for atoms and ions. Okay, the first piece is atoms and ions. Atoms and ions. Okay. Now in Lewis dot structure, you will only show the valence electron. Only show valence electron as dots. Okay, as dots. Draw the valence electron. Draw the valence electron as symmetric as possible. Okay, as symmetric as possible. Okay. Can I start giving you examples? Can I start giving you examples? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us have We'll write here element. Okay, whatever the element is there, then we will have to find the electronic configuration. And if you remember the, okay, let us write the group number. Okay, a group number will also tell you about the valence electron. And here you will write the Lewis dot symbol, Lewis symbol. We will write the Lewis symbol. So element is sodium, then magnesium, aluminium, and then we have, what do we have? Silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, and argon. Okay. Now sodium is in group number what?
Sir,
Sodium is in group number 1. Magnesium is in group number 2.
Two.
Aluminium is in 3. 3, no, 13. Silicon is on 14. Phosphorus is on 15. Sulfur is on 16. And chlorine is on 17. Argon is on 18. So please see how we will write the Lewis symbol. See, sodium is in group number 1, and hence it will have only one valence electron. Okay, only one valence electron. If you want to see, please see this. Sodium is 11, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. 11 na? This is 10. This is 1, 11. The valence shell is equal to 3. Valence electron is equal to 1. Okay, you can do this in your home and see from the periodic properties. We have written the electronic configuration for each of the elements. You can compare the group number. I guess I have told you this. Group number and the relationship
Yes, sir,
between the group
yesterday
number and the
only.
valence electron. Yesterday only, no? Yeah. Okay, so group number 1, sodium. So we'll write sodium, and now you, wherever you can write 1 electron like this. Okay, 1 electron. Magnesium, you have to keep it symmetrical. So if you write 1 electron here, you will write 1 electron here. Aluminium, 1 electron here, the other electron here, and the third electron here. It is still symmetrical, right? It is still symmetrical. Then we have silicon, 1 electron here, here, and then here. Then for phosphorus, how will you write for phosphorus? You will write 1 electron here, silicon 1 electron, second electron here. Now you will write both the electrons on the top. That is why now it is symmetrical, right? Now, yes or no? No, this is only how, yeah, now it is symmetrical. Then we will have sulfur, 1 electron, 2 electron, 3 electron, 4 electron, 5 electron, 6 electron, 7 electron, 6 electron only, no? So 6 electron, we will write it like this. Then we have chlorine. So for chlorine, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And argon, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Please write this fast. It is just a skill, nothing else. In 10th class, you had Lewis dot structures. This is not the first time you are hearing Lewis dot structure, right? Huh? Hamza, Hiba, say something, please. Anyone? Khalid, Salman.
No, Lewis dot structure we studied before.
You have studied now.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that you know it. You must have heard at least.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, very good.
Done, sir.
Yes, Salman, are you done?
Yes, sir, done.
Okay. Now, this is for atoms. For example, you have, let us say for ions, you have O2 negative. Okay, if you have O2 negative, that means it will have how many electrons? The oxygen has how many electrons? Oxygen has how many electrons? 8 electrons, right? बाबा क्या क्या हो गया आप लोगों को? आप लोग कुछ बोलते क्यों नहीं?
Yes, sir.
Oxygen has 8 electrons. You will add 2 electrons. This will become O2 negative. This will have 10 electrons. Okay. If it has 10 electrons, then it will be 2, and what will be there? 8. Correct. So the valence shell will have 8 electrons. So how will you write this? You will write it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you will write 2 negative here. Okay. On the top, you will write 2 negative here. So you can write it like this: O 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 2 negative. Now write capacity of various elements to hold electron. This is one of the most important point if you want to achieve mastery in the Lewis dot structure. Okay, if you want to achieve mastery in the Lewis dot structure, first thing is that hydrogen and helium can have maximum of 2 electrons. Okay, maximum of 2 electrons. Now from this I will write it like this, and I will cross this helium. Okay, you also cross this helium. Why I have crossed helium? Because helium does not take part in reaction. It won't form any compound. So you don't have to learn about helium, but remember that hydrogen and helium, they can only have maximum of 2 electrons in their valence shell. In valence shell. Now what does this mean? It means that is hydrogen can form only one bond. It can form only one bond. Second, period second elements can have maximum of only 8 electrons. It can have only 8 electrons. Period second elements can have only 8 electrons. Okay, because they have n is equal to 2, and 2 into 2 square, that is 4 into 8. 4 into 2 is equal to 8. Okay, that is why 8 electron. The maximum number of electron for a given shell, that is second shell, will be equal to 2n square. This will be equal to how much? Second, 2 into 2 square, which will be equal to 8. Please keep in mind the quantum numbers also. Why? How 8 electron? 8 electrons because of quantum numbers. Okay, period second elements can have maximum of only 8 electrons. That means they can form only 4 bonds. Third point, period 3, period third and beyond can have more than 8 electrons. Due to availability of D subshell. D subshell. Okay, what does this mean? That is they can form more than 4 bonds. So you just have to keep in mind these 3 things. Then we will look at the steps for making Lewis dot structure. Okay, we will look at the steps for making Lewis dot structure. Are you guys done?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Done.
Okay. Now, we will take the example of carbon dioxide. And then we will make the bonds. Okay. Then we will make the Lewis dot structure. Okay. We will make the Lewis dot structure. Step 1. Please look at this now. Don't write anything. Step 1. Calculate total valence electron. Total valence electron. Okay. Total valence electron. TVE. Okay. You remember it like this. Calculate total valence electron. So we have carbon. Carbon has how many valence electrons? How many valence electrons in carbon?
Sir, 4.
Yes. How many in oxygen? Because there are 2 oxygen, that is why I am multiplying 2. This is oxygen, okay? This is not 0, 2. Oxygen has how many valence electron?
Sir, 6.
6. Very good. That's 6. Now this is equal to 6 to the 12 plus 4. 16 electrons, right? Total valence electron is equal to how much? Total valence electron is equal to 16. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Step 2. Draw a skeleton. Now, to draw a skeleton, you have to know how to choose. You have to know how to choose the central atom. Okay, whether carbon in carbon dioxide we have what? Carbon and oxygen. No? So which will be in the center? Whether the oxygen will be in the center or the carbon will be in the center. Okay, so we have a few selection of central atom. Selection of central atom. The first condition is the number of atoms in the compound should be less. Okay. Now, second is that atomic number should be high. Third is the electronegativity should be less. Fourth point is covalency. It should be high. Covalency is the ability to form the maximum number of bonds. Okay, ability to form the maximum number of bonds, right? So if we see the number of atoms, whose is less in carbon and oxygen? Now this is choice of central atom. In the first case, we have 2 competitor here, carbon and oxygen. So according to the first criteria, who will win in CO2? Whose number of atom is less in CO2? Carbons or oxygen? Which is less?
Oxygen.
Oxygen is
No,
less.
carbon.
Are bhai. Are you okay, Khalid? So carbon 1. Second, whose atomic number is high? Carbon or oxygen? Whose atomic number is high? Carbon or oxygen?
Sir, carbon.
Atomic number.
Okay. Oxygen.
So now oxygen 1. Third, which is less electronegative? Carbon or oxygen? Which is less electronegative? Please look at yesterday's note. You have the series, electronegativity series. Which is less
Carbon.
electronegative? Carbon is less electronegative. Now the last is covalency. Okay, last is covalency. Now in covalency, you just remember it like as of now, you just remember it as valency. So valency of carbon is 4, valency of oxygen is 2. Here also carbon is winning and oxygen is losing, right? So from this particular exercise, what is the central atom? Carbon or oxygen? Which will be central atom? Carbon or oxygen? Fast, please. Heba, which will be the central atom? Carbon or oxygen?
Sir, carbon.
Carbon, na? Because carbon is winning. Carbon has won 3 battles and oxygen has won only 1 battle, right? So this is
Yes,
how
sir.
you will choose. Yeah, this is how you will choose the central atom. Now you will make a skeleton. So how you will make a skeleton? Skeleton is made like this. Carbon will make 1 bond with oxygen, will make 1 bond with another oxygen. Okay, 1 bond with oxygen, 1 bond with another oxygen. Now, when you make this type of skeleton, after that you will translate this. Okay, after that you will translate this to oxygen. Each bond means it is made by 2 electrons. Each bond is made by 2 electrons. Okay, carbon, oxygen. I mean, you can make it like this also, but if you will see books, they will have bonds like this, right? Correct? Yes or no? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, step 3. Complete octet of outer atom. Okay, complete octet of outer atom. Now, this step is you will remember as 8, okay, because it is octet. Now, if it will be hydrogen, then you don't have to fill 8 electrons, only 2 electrons, okay, for hydrogen. For rest of them, you will fill 8 electrons. You have this as of now: oxygen, carbon, oxygen. We had how many valence electron? Total valence electron was how much? 16, no? 16, right, guys?
Yes, sir. 16.
16 only, no? 6 to the 12 plus 4, 16, yeah. And we have already used how many electrons for the bond formation? For the skeleton, how many electrons has been used? 4 electrons, right?
Yes, sir.
4 electrons, na? Yeah. If 4 electrons are filled, then we have to fill how many more electrons? 12 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, count the number of dots. Is it 16? Is it 16? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. 16.
It is 16. Now, these are the electrons which oxygen has. These are the electrons which this oxygen has. And these are the electrons which the carbon has. Please see it very carefully. Please see it very carefully. It is like Venn diagram. Oh, you have you read sets? Chapter is in 12th, I guess, no? Sets is in 12th or 11th.
Sir, it is in 11th.
11th only, no? So you have learned the Venn diagrams, right?
Yes, sir.
So now you will tell. This oxygen has total how many electrons? Count it, tell me.
Sir, 8.
Very good. What about this electron? How many?
Sir, again 8.
What about this carbon? How many
Sir,
electrons?
4.
4 electrons. So these oxygens are happy, right? They have got 8 electrons. They are happy, correct? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. But this carbon is not happy, right? Carbon is not happy. So what will carbon do? Carbon will say, see oxygen, I'm not asking for electrons. I'm just asking that you share your electrons. Okay. So oxygen will ask, how many electrons do you need? So carbon will say, how many electrons does carbon need? Tell me. 4 more electrons, na, to be happy. Happy means 8 electrons. Happy means octet, 8 electrons, right? To be happy, carbon needs how many more electrons? Yes, Hiba?
4.
4 more electrons. So what the oxygens will say, they will say that, let's do one thing. Both of us will give you 2 electrons, right? Nobody will say na, that I will give you all 4 electrons. Both of them will give 2 electrons. Okay, fine. Then what will the structure look like? The structure will look like something like this. Carbon, it has these 2 electrons and these 2 electrons. With oxygen, it has 4 more electrons like this with oxygen, right? Now this oxygen has how much? It has given it 2 electrons like this. So we will draw the remaining electrons like this. Okay, as symmetrical as possible. You have to keep that in mind. Now this oxygen is here, and then we have this oxygen also. Correct. And then we have obviously our carbon also, right? So here we have carbon also has, we've got 8 electrons. Oxygen also got 8 electrons, right? Now all of them are happy. Now, if you want to make the bonds, so see, these are the bonds. Okay, these are these electrons, whatever is in this intersection now, which are shared. So these electrons are forming bonds. Now you have some other electrons also. These are these electrons. Okay. So what are these electrons? This electron and these electrons, these are bonded electrons. Okay. And these electrons, these are non-bonded electrons. And we also call this lone pair. Lone pair. Okay. So I have one very simple question. Tell me the number of non-bonded electrons. Number of non-bonded electrons is equal to how much in CO2? And then tell me number of lone pair electrons. Yes, come on. 2 simple questions. Tell me number of non-bonded electrons and tell me number of lone pair electrons. Let me ask, yeah, Hiba, tell me. You can count now. 1 dot is 1 electron. Now count and tell me number of non-bonded electrons. Are
Sir, 8 electrons.
number of non-bonded electrons is equal to 8, and number of lone pair electrons is also
8.
8, है ना? अच्छा. How many eyes do you have, Hiba? How many eyes?
Sir, 2.
Tell me fast. How many eyes, Hiba?
Sir, 2.
And how many pairs of eyes?
1.
Now tell me the answer. How many non-bonded electrons? How many non-bonded electrons? 8, na?
8.
And how many pairs? 4 pairs. Got it? Will you ever forget this?
No, sir.
No. Why? Because you are looking with the pair of eyes. Okay. Chalo. Do I need to scroll up?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. But see, how you will remember these steps. There's one more step that is for some complex examples, but you will remember it like this. 8 FC. What is FC? FC is not first class. Okay, FC is not also fight championship. 8. You have learned till 8 most of the elements, most of the molecules. You will be making the Lewis dot structure by 8. 8 means first you will calculate the total valence electron, then you will make the skeleton. While you are making the skeleton, you have to keep in mind the central atom. Then you will make each and every atom happy by giving it 8 electrons except hydrogen. After that, this is formal charge, but formal charge we will learn. There are some special cases. We'll learn formal charge in the next class. Okay. So as of now, but you remember this. Okay. QS 8 FC. QS 8 FC. Yeah. Please start writing. But I hope that I can give you some Lewis dot structure for simple compounds to make, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Like, so you will apply this formula, that is TWS 8 FC. Maybe you may be knowing the structure, and also I will ask the number of non-bonded electrons and number of lone pair electrons. Okay, let me write that somewhere. Let me know if I have to scroll down. Let me know if I have to scroll down. I don't have to scroll down, huh?
Sir, done.
Done. Okay.
Sir, can you scroll a bit up?
Little bit up. Okay. More. A bit more. Hiba?
No, sir, that's okay.
I hope all you guys understood the steps, right?
Yes, sir. Understood.
When you will get it. No, Anna, we will be starting in few minutes, okay? Yes, Noama, let me know if I'm audible.
Yes,
I
sir.
hope I'm. And I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Sir, it's Numa.
Numa, how it is Numa? Why you are written Noama?
No, sir, that A is not supposed to be pronounced.
but it is supposed to be written.
Yes.
Okay. What is the meaning of that name?
The blessing.
Acha, Ne'ma.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's from Nemat. Okay. It's from Ne'ma. Okay. Guys, are you done?
Yes, sir. Then.
Okay. Then Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum. Take care. Tata. Bye bye. Go. And yeah, I have to send you assignments for this. I have to send you assignments for this. I have to remember this. What is happening to my mic? This thing busting. I don't understand that language. It is far away. Salman, it is far away.
No, it's like it seems to be very close. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Assalamu alaikum, Azhan. How are you?
Hi, sir. I'm fine.
Okay,
Walaikum assalam.
okay. Khalid, are you done?